Moving on to our next session, which is on People, Inclusion, Impact, a series of case studies of successful collaborative CSR projects. I would now like to invite Shirish Raut, Associate Vice President in Nasscom Foundation, who will be the facilitator for our next session here. Shirish.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shirish Raut, and I work with the Skills Initiative at Nasscom Foundation. So first of all, let me welcome you all to this first ever CSR Leadership Conference in Hyderabad. It's great to be here in this city. The next session that we are going to have is a great segue from what some of our speakers spoke about in the last session, which was about collaboration, which was about, I believe, Veronica, you said something about coming together and working towards delivering a better future for the children. That's exactly the thought we want to take forward about coming together. As Nasscom and Nasscom Foundation, we are a great believer in the power of working together. As an industry body, that is what we do. It's our mandate to bring together various stakeholders, disparate parties who seemingly may not be aligned. But when they come together and start working with each other, aligned to each other, that's when the real magic happens, and that's where we've seen some of the programs delivering impact much greater than what was originally envisaged. We have had programs like Code Unnati, which works with partners as wide-ranging as manufacturing, infrastructure, technology, all coming together to deliver digital skills to rural youth, to underserved youth. We have a program called Haryana Vision Zero, which aims at eradicating traffic fatalities for the state of Haryana. And we have partners in that who are motorcycle manufacturers, who are rice mills, large commodity sellers, all coming together with this one purpose. They bring their own skills, they bring their own unique inputs to the program, and together is when this program reaches out to a state as wide as large as Haryana. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the power of collaboration. We have invited 3 of our partners whose programs exemplify what collaboration can achieve, when we come together, what we can do when instead of just working in silos and working individually, we come together and align ourselves to a greater goal, how that thing works, how each of these programs have devised their own unique models of collaboration. So first up, I would like to invite Rohini Kamath from Cisco. Rohini is a veteran of the CSR world, having worked in Cisco's employee engagement, volunteering verticals. She currently leads their work in education and critical human needs. And we have Rohini to talk about the Cisco program. Rohini.
Cool. Thanks. So I have this thing that we do in Cisco. It's called the New Hire Orientation. And unfortunately for me, I have to make a 30-minute presentation about how we give back at Cisco. And that presentation is typically a post-lunch session on a Friday in an IT company. So you can imagine the trauma that I go through to go into a room full of people who are yawning, have had a nice lunch, do care about the society, but don't think that this is the right time, especially because the next session is employee benefits. So I've been there, I've done that, but I know that that's not what I'm expecting from this room. Having said that though, I came prepared with a 4-slide deck, which I can walk you through. But I also made a couple of notes when I was sitting as part of the previous session. And I thought I could do one of 2 things. I could walk you through my deck, which is fairly straightforward, or I could talk about 4 to 5 things that we do in the collaboration space, and also talk a little bit about the work that we do with Nasscom Foundation through a program called Thinkubator that's conceptualized in Cisco. So quick show of hands, how many of you would prefer that I stick to the deck? Which basically means I will not use a deck. Yeah, helps? Okay. So I'll be pretty articulate and quick. So in terms of my work in Cisco, I manage education and critical human needs. Cisco focuses in 3 main areas: critical human needs that covers healthcare, hunger, and disaster relief. In education, we work in access to education, classroom engagement, and improving outcomes. And in economic empowerment, we work in skilling, livelihoods and income generation, and entrepreneurship. So that's the textbook part of it. And in each of these areas, we're looking to, our overall philosophy is to accelerate global problem solving. So that's what we look at. Every geography, every society has problems. How do we play a role in solving those problems is our overarching theme. Yeah. Having said that, let me talk about how we just look at collaboration as an organization, right? I think for me personally, it starts from the time we engage with an NGO. So we predominantly work through partnerships where we partner with NGOs. We have 2 programs that are running in the skilling space, and I'll talk about in the economic empowerment space, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But in terms of partnerships, which is where we partner with NGOs to execute the work that they do, to help them execute the work that we do, collaboration starts right at the very beginning. Because for us, it's not just about a proposal that comes to our table. In fact, an organization that we had approved last week, I started conversations with them in November. And what we start to do is to first get to know the organization, the work that they do. I basically know almost every employee of the organization, what they do, how long they've been in the organization. So for us, rather than a partnership, it's more of a relationship that we build with the organization. We get to know the work that they do. We know what are the gaps. In certain cases, not every organization is very evolved to absorb technology. We assess all of that during that whole phase of what we call co-creation. So for us, collaboration starts right there itself when we start building relationships with our partners. So that is something that's a big takeaway for me. So to your earlier question, the group of ladies there about how can you partner with corporates, right? One of the things that I've always noticed is that a lot of the times, NGOs don't necessarily ask us what our focus area is or what is the kind of work that we kind of invest in. One of the key things that you can do is also ask those questions. In most cases, the person on the other side will be more than happy to walk you through what it is that we do and give you some examples of existing grants, what's the work that we are doing. So that gives you a better sense of what will be more aligned to the work that you do and of interest to the corporate itself. So that's the co-creation and the relationship building stage. The third thing that we do is we also talk, like we bounce off a lot of ideas with our partners. So earlier today you heard from an organization called Social Corps, right? So we've actually funded an organization called Pratham Books that makes very low cost books. Books are priced at 25 rupees, 35 rupees. So we did 2 very interesting things with them. We wanted to work with them on STEM, science, technology, engineering and math themed books. Coincidentally, one of the themes this year is to do a book on technology itself, and book on women and technology, and it's based on Prakalpa, who's the founder of Social Corps. So these are things that only evolve in conversations, and one of the other things that evolved in a conversation is when we told them that we didn't want to print books on regular paper. We wanted books on recycled paper, and Pratham Books hadn't done that before. And they were very open to the idea, and that was all part of a conversation. So that's the other area of collaborating, having those conversations, bouncing off ideas, and that's worked very well for us, and that's something that we continue to do and will keep doing. The third thing, the fourth or fifth thing that we do is also collaborate on research. I think just during lunch today, Aarti from Satwa and I talked about how they are working on research in ed tech itself, and that's something that's of interest to us. A lot of corporates spend a lot of time doing research into what areas to invest in, and it just remains within themselves, right? A humble request to corporates out there, to even NGOs out there who are doing a lot of research, please share these researches that you develop, these documents that you develop, keep it open source so that the ecosystem learns and it doesn't become siloed, because that a lot of time is spent on just gathering data, and that can be extremely helpful for everybody in the system. Then comes the whole conversation around what happens if we don't necessarily end up working with an NGO. One of the things that we constantly do is to connect them to the ecosystem. So if I know someone from Genpact or I know someone from Tata Trust, I always make it a point to make a connection. It's okay if we don't work with the organization, but I think for us, the bigger angle of collaboration itself is in making sure that the purpose that the organization serves and the need that the organization serves moves forward. And that's something that we do very proactively, to the extent question that sometimes NGOs are like, it's okay, fine, we also know them, we might be connecting with them, right? So that's another way to just keep the conversation going in the ecosystem. And perhaps the last thing that we do in terms of collaborating with our peers, with our grantors, is that we always try to understand when we work with an NGO partner, what does their investor portfolio look like? Who are the other people investing in them? What is the kind of investment? It's money comes, but besides money, what else are they bringing to the table? For example, Cisco in most of its investments will bring in a digital or a technology aspect. We've seen a lot of organizations who have the financial expertise and bring that to the table. We see a lot of organizations that bring in organizational capability and capacity building to the table. A lot of times CEOs of incubators stay very invested in organizations itself. So we spend a fair bit of time collaborating with them, understanding from them what it is that they notice as gaps in the organization or areas of improvement, because we are very clear that we are not focused on the what. The what is the expertise of the NGO. They typically know what is the problem to solve, and what they're going to do. It's the how that we are interested in. Is it a scalable, replicable model? Is it something that's sustainable? And that's where we bring in our inputs. We've never questioned the work that the NGO is doing because that's their expertise. So these are just some of the nuances of collaboration that we take very close to our heart, and that's evolved over a period of time for us. We draw a lot of inspiration from the Cisco Foundation that's based out of the US. It's a 25-year-old foundation and has a very evolved thought process. So we're constantly learning, and we also learn from our peers. We have conversations about can we come and understand what your operational processes are till the time you make a grant. There's so many nitty-gritties of just processing that check itself. How can you make it more streamlined? Should we go for a milestone-based approach? Should we go for a one-time payment, right? Things like this is something that we're always discussing and always learning. But I think the intent is to want to share, to be open to sharing, and to be very receptive to learning. So that's my take on collaboration and partnerships itself, and I'm happy to take questions at the end of the session. Hope this was useful. Thank you.
That was a great session. Those were some very simple, and it's in fact so simple that one might tend to overlook them times, but these are the kind of small steps that one can take to actually bring people together, to come together. Next up, I'm going to invite another old friend of Nasscom Foundation, Hinduja Global Services, and their CSR lead, Archana Dhakappa. Archana, please. Archana is a 16-year-old veteran of the IT industry. She's worked in the communication space, and having done her communication work, she's moved on to lead the CSR work at HGS. So without any further ado, I would like to invite Archana to take the stage and talk about the work at Hindustan Global Solutions.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Shirish. Thank you, Revati, for actually giving us an overview of how corporates actually collaborate with non-profit organizations, and how an idea takes into shape, and how corporates takes into their corporate funding and the program unveils. I'd like you to go through a program that Nasscom Foundation and HGS built it together sometime early last year. Hopefully, it'll be interesting. Before I move into the program, I'd like to just tell you what HGS is about. It's a leading BPM company. We're present in 7 countries and about 44,000 employees. In India alone, we have about 14 centers. Our philosophy is work together for a better tomorrow. Our focus area is in the sectors of education, healthcare, skill development, and of course, empowering persons with disabilities. We call it inside the organization something like empowering differently abled. The thought that why we actually approached Nasscom, of why we would take up a project of empowering persons with disabilities, is that HGS is a very inclusive organization. We have a goal of hiring PWDs very consciously. We believe that we are a very inclusive organization. And we approached Nasscom Foundation, because they are the development arm of Nasscom, and we believe that they could take this further. And Nasscom Foundation came up with this brilliant idea of setting up a center of excellence, platform for training and hiring persons with disabilities. One must realize that there's a very big skill gap in the mainstream education with respect to persons with disabilities. Unfortunately, the mainstream education does not help skilling or even educating PWDs. And unfortunately, there are not enough training or coaching centers to bridge this gap. And having said that, much of the persons with disabilities come with the rural background, and having lack of access to education, accentuated with poverty, and no access to healthcare, and mainstream education is extremely expensive as well. So all of this clubbed together, they end up with low skill, low wages, they end up taking very low line jobs with absolutely no aspirations at all. And on the other part of the world, corporates are not ready to actually hire PWDs because they believe that they're not suitable for all job roles, number one. Number two, they believe they don't have an ecosystem inside the organization where PWDs can thrive. Thirdly, perhaps the co-workers are not really okay to actually be working with them. They do not know how to deal with them. So irrespective of if a PWD is a BCom graduate, a PhD, or an engineer, the gap in skill of what this person has to do at an organization is very, very huge. So Nasscom Foundation set up this Center of Excellence. Our first center started in Delhi, Noida last year. And the belief that we would train, to kickstart the project, we started to train 100 PWDs around the Delhi region, and our belief was to give them business skills, train them, and create a platform also to sensitize employers to hire persons with disabilities in the aim that we will manage the underemployment and unemployment of PWDs. What we've done so far is to skill and train 100 people. Our goal for the year 2019 is to skill and train another 200 PWDs between Delhi and Bangalore. We want to sensitize at least 100 and 125 companies about hiring PWDs and making sure they're integrated into the community and they have a dignity of life. Also sensitize recruiting managers of how to hire PWDs and how to create these job roles in these organizations. So very quickly, let me tell you how we do it. We do the sourcing of candidates to word of mouth, pamphlets, social media, etc. Then we quickly do an aptitude test where candidates are evaluated on arithmetic, comm skills, and language skills. Based on that, we create IDPs, and after post understanding their interest, their skills, we develop the IDPs, give them domain skills training. We put them on a test, and they'll have to score a minimum of according to the test results. And if they do not match those minimum requirements, we start reskilling them again. Post that, we also sensitize the companies, like I said earlier, and we do a lot of sensitizing sessions inside the organization to the companies who are ready to employ PWDs. Candidates are placed there, and about 3 months' time, we kind of handhold those candidates to make sure that they don't leave jobs. The training is for a period of 8 weeks, and these are the training sessions that happen for every candidate. If there is a reskilling that is required, then it goes over another 4 weeks. So fortunately for us, the Nasscom Foundation has been very actively ensuring that all the candidates are trained well. They get a one-on-one session, counseling, and career advice as well. So the impact that we're looking at is to ensure all the candidates who are trained get business skills. We engage with the employers. We have better quality jobs. We have multiple jobs across companies, and they're included in the society. And and our plan is to place all the 300 candidates. But unfortunately, there are multiple reasons why PWDs are not hired. Majority of them are for personal reasons, that they won't be able to commute. family reasons, families are not open, allowing them to commute for to a larger distance from where they are. Something wrong? It's moving into the last slide. Okay, nonetheless, I wanted to show you some graphs of what we've achieved so far. I can tell you, what we were able to do in the first year is we were able to actually train hearing impaired, locomotor disabilities, and visually impaired. And bulk of our candidates were between the age group of 18 to 24, and all of them have been placed in several industries, including majority of them being ITES and hospitality industries. Please do not follow the presentation because I think they're just checking on it. What I wanted to make a point is when we started this program with Nasscom Foundation, we wanted to actually train and hire only graduates and above, because that was something what all corporates would hire. Graduates is a minimum requirement. Unfortunately, when we started sourcing candidates, we realized the crux of the problem is really at class 10, 11, 12, and onwards. Graduates still would make up for some very basic jobs, but class 10 plus would not get jobs at all. So we started training them, and we're very happy about 60% of our candidates are class 10, class 11 onwards. Graduates are a bare about 10 of them. And bulk of them have got jobs as computer trainer, customer care executives, data entry operators. A blind, a visually impaired person has also taken up a role of an entrepreneurial of soap making in Delhi. Marketing executive, telecaller services, like I said, so these are very basic jobs, not very aspiring for the candidates, but fortunately, they're very happy that they've been placed in jobs. In the slide one, Anuradha Devi, she's the visually impaired person. She lost her vision after she gave birth to 3 of her children, and one of her daughter is mentally retarded. And she believes that the training that Nasscom Foundation has imparted her has given her more confidence than she was when she was all right, when she was not disabled. Recently she's taken up an entrepreneurial of making soaps, teaching people how to make soaps and sell the soaps as well. So a bunch of stories. Amit Kumar, he's a locomotor disabled person. He was disabled right from childhood, lost his parents very early in the age, was a dependent with his brother. He is a data operator now in Uttar Pradesh. Also, Sangeeta Rani, she's a graduate, she's hearing impaired. She was looking out for a job and she found out about our training on Facebook, and she now works at Amazon as a warehouse associate. Similar stories across our beneficiaries, and very thrilled to see the success of the program that has happened in the first year of our program. During the course of the program, we realized that some of the things that we could have done differently, and this is something that we're planning to do this year. The candidate sourcing has been through word of mouth, and we realized that we need to widen our network. We need to kind of talk to the Sector Skills Council, NSDC, talk to the NGOs. Perhaps Nasscom can actually bring all of them together, because Nasscom Foundation, I mean, and bring all the disability NGOs together to widen the network and ensure everybody helps another person. The employee side bias is really, really high. Managers are not willing to recruit, even wondering if they will be able to talk to them at all. How will they manage the work-life balance, the performance management in the organization? So our aim is to actually sensitize not only the the recruiters, but also the hiring managers to make sure that PWDs get jobs in much of the corporates. The post-placement services also is kind of given only to, the recruiters, the candidates only. We understand that this post-placement support has to be extended to the recruiting managers as well as perhaps the team to an extent to understand how they can deal with PWDs. There are a lot of jobs in the market. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to tap it. And we realize that we'll be able to tap it only when we have access to training material. Our goal for this year is to actually, get access to the sector skills training material and extend that training material to our program for the year. So this is what our plan is for this year. We are going to counsel and source about 300 candidates. We're going to make sure 200 people are trained with employability skills with a range of, across range of disabilities. We're trying to actually reach out to another 5 disabilities, make sure they all get jobs. We're trying to create at least 150 sensitization sessions across corporates and make sure our training managers have a sense of how to converse with PWDs. We're also looking at ensuring that we have more than 50 recruitment drives and create about 140 job connections. We understand that the Center of Excellence platform is very, very important. Only through this, we believe that more and more jobs can be created for the PWD community. Next steps would be to talk with the employers about how can we progress with careers for PWDs and how to make every organization inclusive. I have a small video presentation of what we've been able to achieve. Could you play that, please?
In our society, people with disabilities are mostly on the margins, and their affliction is seen as their primary identity.
I was not selected anywhere. Without interviewing me, they just taken resume and they will say, we will call you later, you just go. If they was taken my interview, at least I was satisfied. Okay, and maybe I did something mistake. That's the reason they was not selected. So in that situation, I don't want to go and face another interview.
HGS' approach to disability is to empower the differently abled and help them realize their potential. HGS has set up a capacity center model to train differently abled youth and help them earn a livelihood. It aims to build their capacity so that they can inculcate employable skills and get access to profitable employment.
I saw a lot of different kind of disability people in the team, and they was taking the different kinds of training like communication skills, and for written exams there was arithmetical training skills. Everything they was teaching with has their condition, and they was getting opportunity to explore them to outside the world to prove what they are.
The center also serves as a platform for many of them to explore their latent talents and gives them the confidence to dream of a better future. It is this confidence that helped Sirisha land in a job that she loves more than anything else. Today, she is working as a data entry specialist in a private firm. She says that the training not only helped her get a job, but has instilled in her the pride and dignity to lead her life independently.
By the encouragement training and all, I was easily get job, and I was in ANZ also. It was very awesome place for the disabled people. It was very friendly, supporting in all the circumstances.
HCS has enabled differently abled youth like Sirisha and many others to access employment opportunities for the first time in their lives, which has in turn helped them break down the barriers of exclusion. Through its initiatives to empower disabled people with employable skills, HCS has opened avenues for them to become active participants in the development process. It is hoped that such endeavors would pave the way to build an inclusive society for all.
For taking this further, and our focus is to give a better tomorrow to everyone, particularly to persons with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Archana. Thank you for sharing with us the brilliant work that you do with these persons with disabilities, and we hope that this is the kind of work that would inspire some of our participants here and explore what we can do together as Nasscom Foundation, as our donor partners and your organizations. The last speaker over here in this session is a local body. It's a city organization. It's a Telangana organization called the Telangana Social Impact Group. As their name suggests, their mandate is to bring together people and drive social impact. So without any further ado, I would like to call upon Mr. Shravan from TSIG to speak about their work.
Good afternoon all. Thank you, Shirish, for inviting me on the stage, and thank you, Nasscom, for bringing up this topic of collaboration. So since morning, many people, the panelists were discussing about collaboration. So the collaboration can bring the sustainability to the initiatives taken up by the CSRs, non-profits and all. So definitely we can speak about collaboration, but before speaking about collaboration, one more huge gap is there, like gap for information, limited accessibility between the stakeholders, and there is no centralized database where everyone can share their information, get access to others who are working in the same space. So yeah, T Social Impact Group is an initiative taken up by IT Department of Telangana, and it is managed by Surge Impact Foundation. So Surge Impact Foundation is the project management unit for this entire initiative. Next slide. Okay. Right. As I have said, and many of the panelists, they have said, many CSR interventions were taken in the state, in the country, but a lot of the places duplication is going on due to lack of access, due to lack of information, people don't know what others are doing. I have seen some examples, some corporate, one corporate is doing some infrastructure development in a school. Again, another corporate is coming to the same school and they are doing the same things there. On the other side, many schools are neglected. Many schools, or It's just a topic about education, but not only education, many other themes. The same thing is happening, only due to lack of information and limited reach. So that is one challenge, and other one is, as I said, like there is no centralized database. Like we don't know where to find what others are doing, whether it is a corporate, whether it is a non-profit, or what government is doing. So we can see only on TVs or some ads where they showcase like government is taking up such initiatives. They are doing something in Raitu Bandhu, Raitu Bima, or many other cases. So that's not the information source I'm talking about. So we need a consolidated database where people should know what others are doing. So making all these observations, Government of Telangana IT department especially has come up with this initiative called T Social Impact Group. So this is our vision, to build an inclusive ecosystem where government departments, private companies, and social impact organizations and citizens of Telangana can work together and mobilize resources for the development of the citizens, communities, and the environment. Our objectives are like towards achieving sustainable development goals. So we strive for the state to achieve sustainable development goals, and we also build and manage an ecosystem where partnerships happen towards achieving sustainable development goals. And we identify, evaluate, and support implementing partners and connecting them to the corporates and governments wherever possible. So who do we work with? So as I said, we work with any entity or any organization or any individual who are working towards achieving sustainable development goals. Like we work with corporate companies, we work with government departments, whether it is department level or district level administrations. Next, we work with academic institutions like TIS, ISB, IIIT, and we work with non-profit organizations and social entrepreneurs and investors who support social entrepreneurs. So TSIG is a connecting platform between all the stakeholders. Who is eligible to work with us? People who are working for sustainable development goals. So they may fall under climate action, their actions may fall under climate action, their actions may fall under gender equality, or restoring water bodies, restoring land bodies, anything related to sustainable development goals, we are going to support them. Our approach is, it is simple, and it's not just simple, it's also unique. Like other states, some of the other states of India has adopted this kind of mechanism. They are doing such projects. State government has taken that initiative to bring corporates and non-profits to work together. So our model has something unique, I can explain. So the first one is we manage a CSR portal for the state where we display all the projects of non-profits, government departments, and also corporate profiles, like which areas they are working on and which areas they are interested to work on. We do this, we just don't onboard all the projects, we just don't onboard all the corporates in this platform. We go to them, we meet them, we understand their work, we try to evaluate their process, how they are doing, how much impact they are creating, or what could be potential outcomes of the projects. Then we analyze that. After doing all this evaluation and thorough analysis, we onboard those projects to our website. Then we just don't want to confine to the website. As I said, like other state governments are doing this, where they have the website and they act as information sources for all the stakeholders to work together. But we don't want to confine here. What we do is we organize focus group discussions every quarter. We identify some projects, priorities of the government and priorities of the corporates or NGOs. We identify such projects and we organize focus group discussions between all the stakeholders. For example, we had our first quarterly meeting in the month of July. We have identified 5 projects there. Then we have invited all the department heads, bureaucrats, who represent the department, who can execute the project well. We have invited corporates who are working in the domain, and we have invited corporates who want to explore the domains. Also called implementing partners who are already excelling in the same domains. And we had focus group discussions on those topics. So, and the last one is we just want to, we just don't want to stop with connection and collaboration. We also want to recognize their efforts. So for that reason, we have this annual conclave where where the expert panel will be assigned to them. They will evaluate the projects and initiatives across the state. Then the best performing CSRs or non-profits, they will be rewarded by the ministries. So this is our reach. Like as I said, ours is a very, we are in very nascent stage, I can say. Like we started our project in the month of April, so we are like 6 months old, and our reach is we work with 26 corporate partners so far. We have engaged them in different projects, and we have engaged 52 non-profit organizations and social enterprises in different projects, and we work with 7 government departments as of today, and also trade associations like Nasscom, FICCI, CII, and HICIA. So those are some of our projects, like 5 projects with corporates, and 25 projects with non-profits, and 35 government projects. We deal with them. Also, these are the stakeholders. Like we have reached out to like 150 corporates, and 48 of them we met personally. We discussed about the project, and they expressed their interest to work along with us to reach out to more people who are working in the same space. So, and we successfully engaged 26 of them. Similarly, non-profits, we have reached around 100 organizations, and 52 showed their interest, and we have their project proposals. We evaluated their projects and engaged 35 of them. This is one more thing, like one of the objective for T Social Impact Group is like many of the projects of CSR initiatives, or many of the projects were focused only on some geographic and only on some themes. So we want to streamline it. We want CSRs to take up projects in different departments and in different districts. So we work closely with district level administrations, and we identify the needs there. We list out the projects, and then we pitch to corporates about those projects and see whether they can adopt those projects. So we are working in Hyderabad, Rangareddy, and Vanapati districts right now, and we are working in different departments like GHMC, IT-BPM, Rural Development Department, and Center for School Education Department. So these are some details of our first quarterly meeting. As I said, like we have chosen 5 projects. One is Haritaharam, lakes restoration, and providing livelihoods for women at shelter homes. And one more project is related to education, and it is by TSAT. The other one is biomethanization project from GHMC. So for these 5 projects, department heads like bureaucrats, IAS officers who had the departments, they represented those presentations. They pitched directly to the corporates, and we also engaged implementing partners who can take up the projects very well. Like 25 of the CSR heads and their team represented to that quarterly meeting. And as I said, from industry associations, deputy directors from all the industry associations of Hyderabad, they participated in that event. So these are some pictures of that, where you can see department heads like Women Child Development Department Head, and GHMC Zonal Commissioner you can see, and IT Principal Secretary for IT Department. So they will be presenting about the project. They will be discussing in details of the projects, and so it will be easy for corporates to work with government. So we want to make it as a single window, and we want to also help them with the challenges they may face working with different departments of the government. So we want to identify those challenges, and we want to rectify those challenges. Also, one more project, as I said, lakes restoration. The lady you can see there is Zonal Commissioner of Hyderabad, GHMC. So we organized this lakes restoration meeting, invited corporates who are working on the lakes, and we invited bureaucrats who are working on the lakes, and also lake champions. There are several volunteers who are working in several lake restoration, and they have adopted these lakes. We have invited them. We understood the best practices which can be replicated across the Hyderabad, and we discussed about 2 lakes, and we started working on those 2 lakes. That's how our closed group discussions works. Other project is Haritaharam. We had our mega plantation drive on 31st of August, where 12 corporates participated in that, and around 800 is the footfall, and we have planted around 5,000 plants in different locations at Inner and Gachbali. So these are some pictures from that. Right. Other projects. So you might be you can observe it clearly that, as I said, we in our quarterly meeting discussions or in our focus group discussions, we identify projects, and that projects, we just don't leave it with discussions. We will follow up the corporates, we'll follow up the departments, and we'll see that the projects are taken up, and we try to ensure that some action can happen on those projects. So these are like 3 projects. The project I discussed is Haritaharam, we did some efforts, and lake restoration we did some, and the other one is the providing livelihood for women at shelter homes. So first we met Women Child Development Department Secretary, then we identified the needs there, then we prepared project proposals along with the implementing partner who can take up the projects. So Nirman is the organization who worked on that, and they have presented different proposals with the Women Child Department, and then we, as discussed in the quarterly meetings, some corporates have expressed their interest to take up such projects. HSBC is one of them, and we facilitated meetings between HSBC, Women Child Department, and Nirman organization. So they were in discussions and they were to take up the project. Other one is district level, as I said. In Vanapati, we are doing some projects related to menstrual health management and digital education. So this is along with HICIA. Some corporates from HICIA, they are doing their projects along with the district administration. Also, when we meet district collectors, as I said, we try to identify the needs. Then collector has requested us to connect to some organizations who can work on agriculture and which can help the farmers there. So we know some projects done by Center for Sustainable Agriculture. It's a non-profit. So we have proposed about Kisan Mitra Helpline. So again, we evaluated Kisan Mitra Helpline project, and then we connected with the department there. So we had discussions 2 weeks back, and they were happy with the Kisan Mitra Helpline. And right now they are signing an MOU with the Center for Sustainable Agriculture to take up to kick off the project in Vanapati district. So how can we associate? So we, as I said, we are ready to work with anyone. Our major role, like Shirish mentioned, we are mandated to connect people. So that is our role, that is our job. We identify, we connect people and help them in collaborating and work together. We work with anyone who is working for sustainable development goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Shravan. So I'm sure that quite a few organizations over here, I can see Nirman already smiling at the back, are eager to work with TSIG. So please feel free to reach out to us. Now I would like to ask all our speakers to come on stage to answer any questions that anybody may have. So Archana, Rohini, Shravan, if you can just. Questions, the floor is now open. If you have any questions, can somebody help with the mic, please? Due to paucity of time, we'll limit ourselves to a few questions. Keep your questions direct. Don't get into commentary if you can. Just a question. And please introduce yourself and the person you want to address the question to.
Hi, my name is Leena. I'm from Infosys. My question is to Shravan. Shravan, any advice or suggestion to organizations where we have a passionate group of volunteers, but mostly not very, continuous in nature, probably one-time projects which we can partner?
So this TSIC platform, we are also planning to engage employees from different corporate organizations. We work with non-profits, as I said. We will be getting many requests for volunteering opportunities with the non-profits, and we try to connect them with corporates who want to employ their engage their employees. So your question is maintaining consistency of the volunteers, right? Consistency of the volunteers or employees' efforts? There are several projects at several non-profit organizations, so definitely we can reach out. We can we can take it offline, and I can connect you to some non-profits where some opportunities are there. Yes. So as I said, we have a CSR portal. So right now we didn't enlisted any volunteering opportunities, but we have limited bandwidth. So we are trying to collect more information, and we will be soon onboarding all the non-profit, all the volunteering opportunities. And also we are planning to list out the jobs. Like, you can see many portals, job portals or anything, where we can't get information about the non-profit jobs, non-profit space, or whether it might be corporate social responsibility related jobs. So we are trying to, at least wherever we go, we get such requests from corporates, from non-profits, like, if you find a relevant person, why don't you connect them to us? So taking that into consideration, we are also trying to put the jobs in our website, but yeah, it will come soon. Yes.
Hello. My name is Sudhir. I'm from Callright. My question is to Shravan. I'm not sure I'm asking the right person, but this question is fresh in my mind because of recent event in Hyderabad. That's idle immersion in lakes. So you spoke about lake restoration. So what I read is about 80,000 idols were immersed in city. So that is, as an after the fact, we are trying to restore the lakes. But is there anything that's being done to prevent?
So, yeah. I can't say that government is taking it very actively, and government is completely closing down that, idols immersion in the lakes, but they are also acting actively. Like GHMC itself has distributed around 4 lakhs or something of clay Ganesha to the people to encourage that kind of things. And also, see, the problem here in India is, like, right, there are many cultural issues. Many people take it sentimentally, and there are other political interests also, which can't be straight away taken off, or which can't be done right away. So some changes are happening. Departments are working together, and as I said, like lake champions, some lake champions are restoring the lake. So this time, for this Ganesh immersion, they have restricted the zones where they need to be immersed, and for almost like many of the lakes, they have made a separate immersion pond. So only people can immerse Ganesha there, not in the core, not in the bigger part of the lake. So that intervention is taken up by the government, and also they have employed more people, more staff to take care of that immersions, and immediately we take out that and discard that waste and all. That part is going on well, but yeah, we can't say that when it can happen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, question to Shirish. So, Shirish, this is Feroz from State Street. So, in my little experience in CSR, what I've noticed is that we have top 8 to 10 cities in India, where most of the multinational companies or big Indian corporates are placed or headquartered, and most of the NGOs are also around in those cities. So what I believe is that most of the development is taking place in these metropolitan region, if not the city. What is Nasscom Foundation's initiatives in tier 3 cities or tier 2 cities where none of these MNCs are present?
I'll try and answer that question to the best of my abilities. What has happened, the phenomena that you're describing is more attributable to organizations that are coming new into taking this development work. So they themselves are a little unsure of what they want to do. They need a lot of support, and which is fair. So they want to start with smaller steps where they can have more visibility on the program, have more control over the program. They can have their people visit the program and see how it is doing. But there are also a lot of more mature partners, HGS is one of them, who have no compunctions about working in any other location. They don't mind if it's not their operational area. As long as it's delivering social good and there is that need which is being answered, they are open to it. So this phenomena And it's more in the IT sector because a lot of the IT companies are new in the whole development space, but there are also IT majors like HGS, Microsoft who are quite mature. And they do not have any such restrictions. So we are quite open to curating programs in remote areas as well. In fact, we have programs that work in tribal districts of Odisha, which are funded by donors. We work in rural areas of Andhra Pradesh, East Godavari district. We work in southern Tamil Nadu, which are again backward districts, a mining district. So it's, I hope that answers your question. So it all depends on at what stage of engagement we are with the donor. Yep. Archana, do you want to add to that?
Like he said, AGS is present in about 14 cities, and we have our programs across all 14 cities. And out of the 14 cities, we are present in only 3 metros. The 11 cities are all tier 2, tier 3, perhaps tier 4 cities as well. We make sure that we reach out to all the beneficiaries across India. In fact, like Shirish said, we also have a program that caters to the tribals in Mumbai, in Jawahar as well. So yes, mature organizations do penetrate into cities that need the focus, yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Cisco works in, I believe Cisco has one of its container solutions. I have seen a Cisco container solution in a tiger reserve in Maharashtra. If I had my laptop, I could have shown you that photo. It's a Cisco container solution. So it's not as if the organizations are limiting themselves. It's where the organization conversation stands at that point in time. And many organizations are taking that step to go into other areas as well. So, yeah. Right. Folks, that's it for this session. We will now be moving on to our next session because we are running slightly low on time. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all 3 of my speakers for coming here, for taking the time out and sharing their programs with us, sharing their model with us. And as a small token of appreciation, I would like to the certificate.
Once again, a big thank you to all our panelists here.
This is a certificate by an organization called
Archana, Rohini, Raj.
And a tree has been planted in your name. You can track the tree with the QR
with the QR code.
Yep. Right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.